You know, what reminded me today's daily word is, I don't know how they do it, but they just match what I'm going to talk about every time. It is amazing. And I don't look at the daily word until like a couple days beforehand. And then it's like, oh, look at that. They got it right. I got it right. Let go and let God. That music allows you to do that, doesn't it? Just let go and immerse yourselves in that spirit, in that expression, in that joy, in that celebration of life. And let go and let God, because how many of us tend to let our anxieties, our attachments to the past, all of those things, weigh us down during the week? How many times? Well, thank you, Lisa. There's one or two there. There's a few in the back. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, during the week, sometimes those things just weigh us down, and then things come up. Anybody have anything come up this last week? No, none of us did. Well, let go and let God. Let go and let God. I love this. This is what came to me as I was sitting there. It's from James, the book of James, chapter 1. At the very beginning, this is to the 12 tribes scattered amongst the nations. Greetings. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Everyone take a nice, deep, cleansing breath. Because we all have those trials. Now, I'm not sure I'm ready to greet them with joy and enthusiasm and excitement, because sometimes stuff just happens. Sometimes those things come up, yeah? Yes? Okay, she asked you a question earlier, and it was only 3 people who answered. I'm going to be keeping track now. So when those things come up, that's really what this talk is all about. Release and make room. Release and make room. When those things come up, when we're finding ourselves trapped in our own anxieties of the past, when we're replaying the stories, when we're in the middle of it, release and let go, and just say yes to God. Just say yes. Just have an opening. Just one little opening. We're in the 4th and 5th key of the keys to the kingdom. And this is really where the key number 4 is to make room. Key number 5 is to let go of the past. Now, I think it's often reversed, that we let go and then we make room, but they do it in this fashion for a very particular reason. We'll talk about that in a minute. It's let go. It's make room first, and then let go of the past. Those are the 4th and 5th keys of the kingdom. Now, this is really the bread and butter. This is the meat and potatoes. This is the kale and quinoa of the program, right? This is the core of it. Because if you did nothing else but eat your kale and do these 2 things, your life will be so much better. Everything will move so much smoother. And, yes, we can have a vision, and yes, we can make a commitment, and yes, we'll give thanks, but at the core of it is, this is where the rubber hits the road. That's like 4 metaphors now. I got to pick one. This is where it all happens, because when we make room, when we make space, that's when our good can come in. So I want to start with the idea of the law of circulation. And the law of circulation is a law that exists. It's infallible, just like all laws, just like all truth statements with a capital T, right? Those are the unchanging things in our life. Truth statements with the lowercase t, well, that's what I think, and those change all the time. It's just what seems real for me, but these are laws that don't change. David Owen Ritz, in the Keys to the Kingdom, he talks about it as this: the law of circulation. The universe, although infinite in nature, functions like a closed circulatory system. What we give out at every level, our feelings, our thoughts, our intentions, our attitudes, and our material things come back to us, creating an incoming flow that keeps pace with our giving. And we're always giving to life. We're always giving to life. We're giving of our rumors and innuendos. We're giving of our gossip. We're giving of our anxieties, right? Or we're giving of our joys and our enthusiasm, of our service, of our love, of our compassion and kindness. We're always giving to life, and that which we give to life, we receive from life. But the universe just says yes. The universe just says, okay, here you go. I'll give to you as you're giving to the world. That's the law of circulation. It works. And if you look at your life, you look at all the times when you're frustrated and angry and holding in that energy, what kind of creative energy that is, right, that you're holding in, and what it does to your body and to your feelings and your energy level. It just saps us. It's draining our energies when we are holding on to it, when we're attaching ourselves to all of those things. We're attaching ourselves to having to be right, and we're attaching ourselves to having to have an excuse for being wrong, rather than just letting it all be and letting God. Letting go and letting God. So making room is the idea of creating that space in our lives, and it can be in the outside world, in the manifest world, and it can also be in our inner world. And making space in our lives so that the universe can give to us, so that we're open and receptive to what the universe has to give us, so that we have space to receive. Now, the wonderful thing about spiritual rituals, right, is they're things that we practice outside here in the outer world that help create and generate an inner dialogue, an inner opening. And so one of the tasks that they give you in the classes, and many prosperity classes have this, is go home and clean something. Cleanse something. Because how many of us are living in clutter? Now, I've got 2 cats. One of them is our short-haired tuxedo cat named Frodo, and he sheds, but his hair is black, so you don't see it very often on the dark floor. And then we have our pandemic kitty, Alexandria Shumai. I don't remember the rest of the names that the family gave her. But she has a very thick coat and a very dense undercoat. She's meant to live in the Himalayas, apparently. And so the coat is always growing and always shedding, and you can pet her, and it's like, I can make a blanket out of the amount of fur that I'm getting from her. So it's like the floor is covered in cat hair. I just vacuumed. But how many of us are living in some form of clutter? We all have a junk drawer, right? Everybody have a junk. Anybody not have a junk drawer? Everyone has a junk. Well, Paul doesn't have a junk drawer. Good for you, Paul. Or how about that, the nightstand, or where we just start piling things on top of it. Or for us, growing up, it was our garage, because my dad grew up in the 30s in the Depression, and it never gave away anything, never got rid of every screw, had a jar that it was in. Anybody have a dad like that? Yeah, and the biggest insult that I could give my older, they're all older, but my closest to me brother Dave, I went over to his house one day, I looked in and says, wow, it's starting to look like our garage. Like that afternoon, he cleaned it out and he pulled his car into because we could never get a car into the garage. And so he was there. It's clean now. But we all live in this idea of clutter. So when we go out and we start to clean the world outside of us, who knows? Maybe you'll find, that $20 bill that got wedged underneath something and have that instant prosperity. But what happens is it starts to create within us this idea of cleansing. Because cleansing is really about cleaning our consciousness, getting rid of the clutter that's in our heads, so that we can create, so that we can receive, so that we can be in the flow of it and be observant of the flow and have that space within us for that flow to go. So making room is the beginning, is the 4th key, is to begin to make room. And we do that by first really becoming open. We become so cluttered by our old attitudes, anxieties, and attachments, we can begin to make room by becoming open to our unexpected good. As you're cleaning up, what good will you find in there? It's like, oh my gosh, I have 12 Phillips screwdrivers because 9 of them are in my junk drawer. Becoming open to your unexpected good and just being willing to see your good in life. So often we hold our dreams and our visions And then we expect, it to come exactly as I wrote it down, and it comes maybe slightly different, and we don't even acknowledge that that's our good coming to it. But becoming open to all of the good in our life, to the beauty in our life, becoming open to new ideas, new methodologies, new techniques, to being open to learning, to growing. There's a saying about new thought, right? Unity is part of the new thought movement. It's ancient wisdom with a new thought. Everything that we're saying here has been passed on down through the ages, from Socrates, to Emerson, to Rusty Gaylord, to all of you. We all have those moments of wisdom, but we all need to hear it continually in a new way. We all need to hear it constantly so that it will get through all of the clutter in our heads, so that it will start to push out all of those anxieties, all of those attachments, all of those attitudes that we've been holding on to that are holding us back. We've got to release those so that we can make room for these new ideas. We need to become open to cleansing and organizing our thoughts on a daily basis, releasing the thoughts that no longer serve us, and organizing our mind, giving it a little discipline so that we are focused on the things that we want to create, the things that we want to generate. If you want to have better relationships, then you need to focus on the idea of being a better partner with somebody. If you want to have more creativity in your life, then you have to focus on letting go of all of those things that are distracting you long enough to start writing. I started that this week. Again, I took my advice from last week. We were talking about Isaac Asimov, and he got up at 6 in the morning and started typing until noon every day. And he had 400 books published. 400 books published. So I'm following that suit. I got up at 7 and I started typing at 11 and I stopped at noon. But in that hour, it's like, oh my gosh, here's some great ideas started flowing. I had no idea what to start with, so I just started typing. Well, here I go. I've got to start typing. And the subconscious is like going, okay, buddy, step aside. And then I started writing. And then I just started writing. So being open to cleansing and organizing, and being open to the unknown, the unknowable, being open to God, being open to the wisdom that just seems to happen in our lives, without us egos trying to make it happen, just being open to it. David Owen Ritz says this. He says, remove something that you no longer need in your life, with the clear intention of releasing it unconditionally. Ooh, Lordy. Because how many times I'm going to get rid of this, and then we go get another one. I'm going to let this one go, but then here's something else to fill its space. Right? Just letting go of all of it, and unconditionally. I don't need it anymore. Here, I'm going to give it away to Goodwill so that someone else or some other organization, so that someone else can use it. Someone else can benefit from it. Because clearly, I don't need 9 screwdrivers in my drawer. Then observe the action of the law of circulation as it moves in to replace it in kind. So as you're giving, give with love and compassion and joy in your heart. And then watch to see what comes in. And see if it comes in with love, compassion, and joy. If you're giving it away angrily, see what comes in. See where the anger is coming back. Just observe it so that you will have an understanding of, hey, this is working. This is how it works. And now I can start to use it in my favor. So we get to jumpstart with the manifest realm. We get to jumpstart that cleansing of our consciousness by doing the work out here so that our consciousness, our subconscious, picks it up and says, okay, I'm going to start doing it internally. Clean that junk drawer, that bookshelf, that nightstand, and let it go. And then we come to the hard part, letting go of the past. The law of circulation works on many levels, on all levels, really. It works on your emotional level. the emotions that you're giving to the world or the emotions that you're receiving from the world. It works on your mental level. The thoughts and energy that you're putting out into the world are the same resonant thoughts that will come back to you. It will work on the material world. That which you create in the world, that's which you do out here, is what will be done. And it works in the spiritual realm, in your spiritual mind. So it's the manner in which we are doing things when we start to become focused and open to, aware of how we're living life, how we're dancing with life. When those problems come up, remember from last week, it's a dance. We're here to dance with those problems. I may not rejoice with them, as James said, but it's like, okay, I'm open. Here's a challenge. Here's a situation. I'm open to what I can learn through it, what I can learn in it. And I'm focused on what my thoughts, my words, and my actions, what my emotions are, what's going on within me, so that I can be in it and dance with it and have more experience of it. For many, the past is not completely the past. Anybody holding on to any negative energy from 10 minutes ago, let alone 10 years ago or 10 decades ago? We keep holding on to it. And so that past becomes our present because it comes back up for us. And that's where forgiveness comes in. Forgiveness has nothing to do with out there. It's all in here. The biggest growth opportunity for us, the biggest rejoicing, is being able to forgive unconditionally. I hear you, exactly. Forgive unconditionally. So here's what forgiveness is not. What he says is forgiveness is not forgetting, forgiveness is not denying or excusing the behavior. Forgiveness is none of that. Forgiveness is unconditional within, a letting go within, and it's ongoing. It is ongoing. It is ongoing because we will all have mountains in our lives that we have to cross. They just come up. And as they come up, we forgive. And so forgiveness is about letting go internally so that I'm not holding on to it and bringing it up every 5 minutes. It's not driving my life as I'm going through the drive-through, as I'm going through life, as I'm going through my classes, as I'm going through my relationships, one after the other. It's not driving that behavior anymore because I'm forgiving and I'm letting go. It's a cleansing of our own consciousness, of our own mind, of our own heart, so that we can heal and love again and learn some more and be present in the situation. So forgiveness is that opportunity to let go. For me, all forgiveness, as Wayne Dyer said, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. All forgiveness is self-love. I do it for me so that I can love myself again. I have self-forgiveness. I have forgiveness out there so that I can love myself again, so that I can experience love again. Love is the prerequisite for true abundance, David Owen Ritz says. You must love yourself completely and unconditionally. And the practice of self-forgiveness gets us into that pattern. It's acknowledging, here's what happened, here's what I'm willing to let go so that I can free myself, so that I can make room in my consciousness, so I can put that energy that I put into it every day into something more creative and more productive for myself. He says practicing self-forgiveness and self-honesty are high in the list of self-esteem building disciplines. You can perform no greater act of self-love than to release your past, embrace your highest potential, and allow yourselves to become the person that God intended you to be. Allow that higher I am consciousness to be. Cleanse that, eat your inner kale, would you people? So and dance with life. You know, get out there and dance with the things that are going on and look at it from the perspective of it's okay. You know, here's what's happening. How can I dance? So here's a story. Yesterday, my youngest, Ray, made their debut dancing in ballet on point. So this is the first time that she danced on point in a production. She's been practicing for over a year. And she was in a ballet intensive for the last 3 weeks, from whenever she got there, 9 until 5, doing ballet and practicing. And they did dances from Paquita and from, I can't remember. It's another classic. It'll come to me later. I'll just shout it out and you'll know why. And she was, can you imagine, she was pretty nervous. This is their first time dancing on point. And she came on stage and rocked it. She was glowing. She did a duet with a friend of hers who's, I think, 2 years older, who's been dancing longer, who's a beautiful ballet dancer, and they were in sync. Now, was Ray's leg raises as high as everyone else who'd been dancing? No. Was it perfect technically? No. But for a first time, it was bliss. And I can see it in her face when she was performing. Was she perfect? Yes, according to Dad. But technically, maybe not. And afterwards, she had that glow. Normally it's like, okay, bye. It was terrible. See ya. But she didn't want Tiffany, my wife, to leave. She was like, just hanging on, not saying anything. Of course, a 13-year-old wouldn't say, hey, I did so great. Would you hang out with me for a little bit, Mom? But she had the cling. You know the cling. Have you felt the cling? And so that was her forgiving all of those other mistakes and just being in it and dancing. Dancing isn't easy. You know how much long it takes to learn how to dance on point? It takes a long time. Your dancing won't always be easy. There'll be times when it gets a little difficult in life. But all you need, really, is just a small inkling, a willingness, a small opening. A small opening that says yes. A small opening that says, okay, universe, here I am. Yes, I'm willing. I'm willing to do what it is. I'm willing to forgive. I don't know how. God, that's up to you. I'm willing to move towards my goals. I don't know how, but the way will open up and be made clear. Just a yes. Bless you. There's I'm sure you've all heard of this. There's a parable that Jesus talked about the mustard seed. Everyone hear that one? Okay, go ahead, tell it to me. No, I won't put you on the spot. But, it's basically Jesus talking to his disciples, and I'm going to read the whole thing because I think it's fascinating, talking to his disciples. And what we all remember is, truly, I tell you, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you. Nothing will be impossible for you. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to here. Now, human nature, what's the first thing that you think about when I say that? Yeah, right. You'll start thinking about your mountains, right? You'll start thinking about all of the things in your life that are impossible to move. We all start getting fixated on that mountain. But the key isn't the mountain at all. The key is the mustard seed, the little tiny thing, the little crack in your heart that says, yes, I don't know how I'm going to get through this mountain, over this mountain, around this mountain, or maybe I'm going in a different direction, but God, let go, universe, divine intelligence, I say yes. You let me know. Just yes. To that little tiny seed. Now, Jesus was brilliant because Mustard seeds, if you plant a mustard seed, it's going to grow like a weed. It germinates almost in a day. You can't get rid of it. You can put it outside. You can not water it. The wind will come. It survives. Because what's built on that what a brilliant metaphor. What's built on that mustard seed, on that little tine of faith, is that kingdom. The divine essence that is you taking root. That's you taking root. When you give that little tiny faith an opening. Here's the whole verse. It starts at Matthew 17, verse 14 through 21. When they came to the crowd, a man approached Jesus and knelt before him. "Lord, have mercy on my son," he said. "He has seizures and is suffering greatly. He often falls into the fire or into the water. I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him." Jesus goes on to say, "You unbelieving, perverse generation, how long shall I stay with you? How long shall I put up with you? Bring the boy here." Now, granted, I'm adding a little flair to that. But, you unbelieving, perverse generation. How many generations have you said that to? I don't understand this TikTok thing. And he's saying to them, look, how often do I have to teach you? How often do I have to show you? You got to start listening, because I'm not going to be here forever. Right? This is what you have to do. And, he heals them. They don't go into much. It's just Jesus rebuked the demon, which is negative consciousness. Right? So demons in unity and metaphysics are those anxieties, those thoughts that keep us stuck, those beliefs of anger and hatred and suffering. Those are the demons within our consciousness. And the boy was healed in that moment. Then the disciples came to Jesus in private and asked, "So why couldn't we drive it out?" "Because you have so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move, and nothing will be impossible to you." Just having that faith. What's fascinating is that there's another line that's been removed, the 21st verse, that's been removed from most modern versions of the Bible. I looked in like 4 or 5 versions of the Bible, and they removed line 21. Nothing will be impossible to you. But this does not come except out of prayer and fasting. Except out of prayer and fasting. So prayer and fasting in consciousness. This is all about consciousness, right? So fasting in consciousness, fasting from those negative beliefs, fasting from the gossip, fasting from the anger and anxiety, fasting from that, releasing those things intentionally so that you can renew that renew that mustard seed of faith. Saying no to those ideas, fasting from those ideas so that we can refresh ourselves in that I am consciousness. Letting go of our anger and our frustration and our stress so that we can just be in the bliss of knowing our oneness with God. That's a big but, isn't it? Why do you think they took it out? Here's what I think. I think, somewhere, and the reason I know about that is I was online looking at the Charles Fillmore Bible, study Bible, while I was researching it, and they had that line in there, and I go, wait a minute, where'd that line come from? And then I went on to Bible Gateway, and I looked at 4 or 5 different versions. It's all gone. The only thing I think of is like 100 years ago, some ministers up there saying, "And you can tell this mountain to move from here to there," and the crowd goes, "Ah," and the crowd goes, "Cheers," and he's like, "Okay, I'm done." And the little acolyte there saying, "But you forgot the last line." As kid, don't worry about it. Cut it. You'll learn about this later. Once they're cheering and you end the service, quick, pass the basket. Mic drop, bing, because that's a big statement. And then there's the but. Now, personally, I don't think it's a but. I think it's an and, because the mountains happen. And yes, you can do that. And yes, it will take some effort. It will take the effort of releasing those feelings that you have about the mountain, of releasing the anger and the anxiety that you have about the situation, the condition, the diagnosis, the other person, whatever is happening in your life, releasing the fear that you have around it, the attachments that you have to it, releasing and just letting it go. It's like forgiveness. We're not saying it doesn't exist. We're just saying, okay, we're practicing non-resistance instead of attachment. There it is. Yes, God, where do I go from here? What's next? Oh my gosh, it's late. A simple grain of willingness, of faith, opens the channel for good, for healing, prosperity, for intuition, for inspiration, for creativity. Just a simple grain of faith. Release and let go of your fears, your anxieties, your frustrations. Let go of it and be refreshed. Be renewed. All God needs is that little opening for the energy of spirit to flow through. That little opening for the harmonizing energy of love to widen. And all you have to do is say yes. Eat your kale.